we're going to go over all of the ingredients, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to make this Amish style beef and noodles in the pressure cooker. It takes so little time and you're going to love it. Today I've taken a 3-pound chuck roast and I've trimmed it. I bought the chuck roast whole. And I trimmed it. I took all the big chunky knobs of fat out of it and I trimmed it up really good. I took all the silver skin off and I cut it up into about 1-inch cubes or so. I have 4 cups of beef stock. I have about 1.5 pounds of button mushrooms. These are cremini and I have washed them and quartered them. I have a medium-sized onion that I have just sliced and quartered. And for all the seasonings here, I am using a packet of onion soup mix because I like what that brings to the party. It gives it a nice rich flavor, and the dehydrated onion really gives it a really good taste. I like it. If you don't like it, you can leave it out. No big deal. I have about 2 cloves of garlic that I have chopped. I have about 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil. This is sunflower oil. We're going to use that to brown the meat first. This is 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, and then I'm going to use a teaspoon each of marjoram, garlic powder, thyme, and onion powder, and that's it. All right. For those of you who may not know, I have a 10-quart Elite Platinum pressure cooker, and if you have a different brand, you'll want to consult your manufacturer's instruction booklet. And we'll just get the oil in there, heat it up. What I've done is I've put this on the meat setting just to get it hot. And we're going to toss the meat in there. And we're going to get this good and brown on all sides, and then we'll be back and we will continue adding things to the pot. We have browned off our meat. Uh-oh. And also I wanted to tell you, if you don't have an electric pressure cooker, you can do this in the crock pot. It's just going to take longer, and you definitely want to brown your meat first. Now we're going to add our onion. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add all of my dry spices, teaspoon each. There's onion powder, garlic powder, marjoram. I feel marjoram and beef are great friends. Marjoram is like a very mild oregano. It just doesn't have as much bite to it. A little bit of thyme goes a long way, maybe a little bit less than a teaspoon, because we're pressure cooking it and everything's going to become intensified. Get those spices in there with that little bit of oil that's in the bottom of the pot so that those spices can bloom and those flavors and the natural oils of the 2 herbs that we put in there will come out. Oh my goodness, it smells incredible. Okay, get that garlic in there. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put in my onion soup mix and just give this a turn. Now I'm going to add my 4 cups of beef stock, the Worcestershire and the soy and the mushrooms. Give it a stir. At this point, you need to assess if you need a little more liquid. I am going to put just a little bit more water in here. I'm just going to add water until I feel, there we go. That was just about 3 cups of water extra. Now, get your lid, make sure it's on pressure, close it, make sure you refer to your manufacturer's instructions, and I have it already set, let's see, meat for 12 minutes. And we're going to let that come up to pressure. Now that doesn't mean it only takes 12 minutes. We have to wait for it to come up to pressure. And then we have to wait 12 minutes. And then we'll wait for it to come down from pressure. We are not doing a quick release. We're going to do a natural release on this because of the beef. So I will let you know about how long that took when we come back. Right. The time has come to take the lid off. This took a total of about 45 minutes for it to come up to pressure, to cook under pressure, and to come down from pressure naturally. Alright, so now the next thing that we want to do is thicken our gravy. Now on mine, after a cycle finishes, it automatically goes to keep warm. But what I want to do is I want to put it on the meat setting one more time, because that's going to make the pot heat up just like it was when we were browning. So what I want to do is, before it starts to boil, I want to take my Wonder flour And for those of you who've been with me for any amount of time, you'll know that Wondra is one of my best friends in the kitchen. And I'm going to shake in about, for this amount of liquid, 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. And you want to do that before this comes to a boil. And the reason is, you can add Wondra to hot liquid, but once you add it to boiling liquid, it will clump. We're going to bring this up to a boil, and it's going to take no time at all. And then what's going to happen is this is going to thicken, and all those flour granules are going to burst and absorb all of that liquid, and it's going to make a nice thick gravy. The only other thing I'm going to add here is a splash of kitchen bouquet, which is going to equal about 2 teaspoons. If you're not familiar with this, it's just a good old-fashioned browning and seasoning sauce. I use it in gravies. My mother used it. My grandmother used it. It's always on my kitchen shelf. And when I'm ready to make a gravy, it's there for me. It never fails. So you don't have to feel like you need to have that. It's just going to make your gravy rich and dark. It's going to give it a little more oomph in its flavor. Now I can see... Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to allow this to come up to a simmer and let that flour cook for just a minute or two, because you don't want that raw flour taste in there either. So I'll be back when it's time to fix you a plate of this delicious Amish-style beef and noodles, and we'll be back when it's time to do that. There you have it. I fixed a plate just for you. Amish-style beef and noodles. This is amazing. Alright, we're going to go over all of the ingredients for this pressure cooker creamy chicken and rice dinner. This is so easy to make. I have 4 cups of my homemade cream of celery soup. I showed you how to make this in another video. Super easy. What I have here is the equivalent to what I made in that video. I have 3 cups of par-cooked rice. You can use long grain rice. You just may have to adjust the liquid here. I actually, when I cook the par-cooked rice in the pressure cooker, I do use equal parts of rice to liquid. So we have 2 pints of my home canned chicken with the liquid. I have 2 cans of sliced mushrooms that I had in my pantry with the liquid. I have a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. I have a recipe for my poultry seasoning. That's what this is here. And a tablespoon of oil. Alright, we're just going to start by putting all of our ingredients in here. This is like a creamy chicken and rice bake. Instead of baking it, we're just going to make it in the pressure cooker. Whoops, sorry, my hands are getting in the way. And I'm going to stick my rice in here. I have about a cup of water in here with the mushrooms, and approximately the same amount in the chicken. So give this all a good stir. Chicken is already cooked. I mean, you can use fresh chicken and brown it if you want to go to the trouble of doing that, but I'm trying to do like a pantry meal that you can make from whatever you may have on hand. There goes our poultry seasoning and our oil. Don't forget the oil, even though you figure there's already butter in that soup. It's not going to do the same thing. The oil's going to rest on the top, and it's going to prevent foaming. Okay, on goes our lid. We have the rice setting here. I'm just going to press the rice button, and I'm going to let the machine do its job. I'll be back when it's time to take the lid off and serve our creamy chicken and rice. Our pressure cooker, it counted down, went 12 minutes, and you know, you think it's not going to be enough time, but I promise you, it's enough time. Now, I did let this sit for about 5 minutes after it finished, and then I did a quick release on it. It didn't have to release a lot of pressure at that point, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's beautiful. It smells incredible, and I can't wait to serve you up a delicious bowl of this creamy chicken and rice hot pot. I know that you're going to love it. So we're going to go back to the counter. I'm going to clear off the pressure cooker, and I'm going to fix you a dish of this beautiful meal. Have it. Pressure cooker, creamy chicken and rice. We're going to go over all the ingredients first for our pressure cooker Swiss steak. First off, I have some cube steak. This is just round steak that's been run through a Swissing machine. And if you didn't know, this recipe isn't Swiss. The term Swiss steak means that the meat has been run through a cubing machine or a Swissing machine, and that's why it's called Swiss steak. I'm gonna use some mushrooms, but I didn't have any canned mushrooms in my pantry, so I went ahead and I rehydrated some dehydrated mushrooms in some beef stock, which we're also going to be using in this recipe. I have a couple of cups of flour seasoned with steak seasoning, 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, 1 medium onion sliced, 3 stalks of celery diced, and then we're going to get into these seasonings that I'm using. I'm also going to use a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of onion seasoning. You can use an envelope of regular onion soup mix if you don't have this. We're also going to be using a cup of ketchup. So what we're going to do now, we're going to bring the pressure cooker over. I'm going to go ahead and dredge the meat in the seasoned flour, and then we're going to move on. And it's going to be super easy. It's going to take no time at all to do this. We're going to brown it up a little, then we're going to cook it a little, and you're gonna love it. So let me get that done and we'll bring you back as soon as we're ready to move on. I've been browning off the steak just a little bit. We want to get some color on there, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do it right in my pressure cooker. If I want to brown, I just have to put it on soup and stew, and that's gonna be like sauteing, and it'll stay hot for me until I get that task done. I've browned off the rest of this, and this is what it looks like. So as soon as this in here is finished, then we'll move on and we'll start constructing our Swiss steak, and it'll take just a little bit of time and you'll be on your way to dinner. Our meat is all brown and it's over here, but first I just want to get all my veggies in here. So in with the onions, celery, and I'm just going to give these a little quick stir. This is also going to help get some of those brown bits up off the bottom. Those are going to add great flavor. Don't even worry about them. And of course, as this cooks, those are going to come up anyways. And you don't have to saute these. I just want to get them in there. They're going to take up some of that oil, and they're going to soften just a little bit and start cooking. I'm going to add my mushrooms, which I have drained out of the liquid because I may not need all that liquid. Mushrooms are completely optional here. I use them sometimes and sometimes I don't. We're going to go ahead and add the meat back in. Let's see, we'll just dump it in. And then we'll add all of our liquids. Let's see. Here's our 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. Here's our 1 cup of ketchup. And if you guys like pepper steak, if you add like a red and a green bell pepper in here, then you'll have some great pepper steak as well. I'm gonna add my slow cooker seasoning, my onion seasoning, my tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. We don't want to put too much because too much Worcestershire is like, it's like too much cloves. You can't actually have too much. Give this a bit of a stir, or actually just kind of zhuzh it around a little. We're gonna need that liquid. So I have about 3 cups of broth here from soaking my mushrooms. And we're ready to go. It looks fabulous. It smells great. And now we're just going to put it under pressure. You'll want to consult your owner's manual for whatever particular brand or model of pressure cooker you own. I'm going to put mine on meat and chicken, and I'm going to pressurize it for 20 minutes, and then it'll come up to pressure, it'll cook for 20 minutes, it'll come off of pressure, and we'll be back when it's time to have dinner. Our pressure cooker has come down from pressure. I did quick release it after about 10 minutes. It smells fabulous. Here is our Swiss steak ready to go. It looks fantastic. It's nice and tender, and you're gonna take cube steak to the next level. So we're gonna go ahead and serve this up with some mashed potatoes and some green beans, and I'll be right back and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, there you have it, all plated up and ready for dinner. This is our pressure cooker Swiss steak.